you talked about an agenda that is foreign to Africa being brought in, and then you mentioned that our African tradition didn't know of things like LGBT. So one of the ways people are running away from all this mess, when we call it so, is saying then the religion that came from the West, or from wherever the missionaries came from when they came to Africa, could be having a problem. Why don't we go back to where our forefathers were? And the subtle return to ATR, the thought that I can sacrifice to the ancestors and on Saturday and worship God on Sunday. How have you seen that affecting the church, and how can a Christian live right contextually, because we will not separate ourselves from the culture we are in?
We are Christians and we are Africans, and I have a right to choose what I live for and why I live for it. Christianity was not brought to us by the missionaries. When you look at most of, thankfully, I'm a theologian who has had the opportunity of working with the text, both in its original language and a deep understanding of our own cultures. Our orientation is very close to the Jewish orientation. So some of the beliefs and attributes that we share as Africans, you will find them in the Bible without having to think you're appealing to something else. So what they almost came to do is like what Paul did in Athens, that you seem to have set up a temple to a known God. You only clarify who we are. So you can't go back to a religion that has, if I ask you what are the philosophical foundations, you do not know. It's rituals. So people are only running for rituals without knowing the philosophical foundations behind every ritual. If you look at the Bible, it describes a culture that was very ritualistic. They had many sacrifices that would happen until Jesus came to announce, or the New Testament announces the end of living a ritual life where, you committed this crime, so you go and get a sheep and you sacrifice it again. So if you think of it that way, there is progression, because we live in a progressive revelation. God reveals himself in ways without going back to what was there before. When you look at, for those of us, and there's a thrust that every believer, once you understand this, you are able to celebrate the freedom that you have. The sins of your father no longer affects you, because the Lord came to mark a new beginning for you. So the confusion that people have gotten into, trying to buy a foreign idea that, this is foreign Christianity. It was not. That was brought by the Europeans. The Bible did not come from Europe. The Bible comes from the whole area of Jerusalem, and that's where the scriptures came from, around the Holy Land. So they got the message earlier than us, yes, but not entirely. The whole of North Africa had the message of the gospel earlier than even Europe. So when you hear people argue, this Christianity is a foreign religion, they only don't understand the philosophical underpinnings that bring out the faith of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was not a European, even in terms of the place of birth. So we even hosted him here in Africa in his very early days. He was not hosted in Europe. So for every practical purpose, we have people who have allowed confusion because of an external agenda which is supposed to drive a wedge between many Africans who are accepting the faith of Jesus Christ. I hope you're aware that now today, Africa is a Christendom. The seat of Christianity has moved from Europe, it has moved from America, it is actually in Africa. We are hosting the largest majority of practicing believers in the world in one space, in Africa. Now, this is not going without challenges. And that's why we are hearing now more more people trying now to bring confusion to Africans. They say, hey, your original religion was better than this foreign religion. Hey, you say, excuse me, make your case. If you have a case, make your case, present it. Allow for conversations. Let's see it. I'm a practicing Christian. Let anyone who would say ATR was better. One, we no longer have those mediums that used to be there today. We lost that completely. Those who are pretending or studying as people who can get us back to the worship of ancestors, they have no clue. The surviving generation today are as abstracted as the young people today. So even the community elders today are no longer as attached as the older communities that survived on that for survival. They used those beliefs they had then to transform their realities. Their realities then are not our realities today. They did not have telephone, they did not have televisions, they did not know. You know, today something is born is said in America during the day, it will sleep in Kenya today. We are one global village. So our realities have changed. You cannot negotiate today's realities using 100 years ago realities. The mobility, people coming to Nairobi, they used to come by foot. It will take them months to establish good relationships as they walk because you need somewhere to sleep. You don't have to sleep coming from Meru to Nairobi. You don't need to get to someone whom you have to give a goat or something for that to become like a home for you. So there is no way you can negotiate today's realities using yesterday's reality, not even yesterday's, using a century ago realities. So a lot has changed, and there is no way you can go back to renegotiate reality that do not exist. Those that were forested areas are no longer forested areas today. Some of the sacred spaces no longer exist because they are home states. They lost their meaning, they lost their attachment, and if there was any divinity, they lost it. It's somebody's compound today. The Megumo trees, because those around Mount Kenya have been notorious. How many are existing today? Even the latest one, they fell down. And you saw all the elders going there to mourn that it's over. In their own understanding, when such a Mugumo tree falls, it's almost announcing the end of an era. So my challenge to the young people today, don't open yourself to confusion. Understand that every generation has to navigate its own reality. The only reality that has remained trans-generations and its document is the Bible. The Bible gives us a new set of values, new ideals and new attitudes that we transform realities. You can contextualize in your space, but it has timeless principles that do not change over time. That is the beauty of Christianity. When it says do not murder, killing has never been okay. Across the years, it remains as a timeless principle. Do not commit adultery, do not fornicate. That has remained, and every society will celebrate those as virtues. So you can't try to go for a virtueless, principleless religion today, hoping somebody who can't even tell their reason for existence will be able to give you principles through which you will navigate your realities and challenges of life.
The Fellowship of Christian Unions, reaching students, changing nations.